So the Vital Be Grateful might be my very favorite. And I made this cheesy slide for you. Oh, cheesy, get it? I wasn't even trying to to say that intentionally, but anytime you see grated cheese, which we see that quite a bit, right? Anytime you're grating cheese, it's a reminder to be grateful, to find gratitude. And I'm going to show you some ways to do that. But just as a review of our last video, the vital move is to get out there and get some fresh air. If you can work in a 30-minute walk, that's going to do wonders for your mental and physical health. If you need to find a walking partner, that might be helpful as well, or tennis partner, or whatever it is that you want to do to move your body. And remember, you can always just go get the mail. I was thinking though, our home before this advice would not have been helpful because the mailbox was like attached to the house. So the mail would just come right into the house. So I'd have to figure something else out. Okay, so gratitude is a fruit. Like, it is something that we can access. Something wonderful happens and we're like, oh, I'm so grateful. Where gratitude can be a fruit, but it can also be a seed. You don't have to have something great to find gratitude in your life. And I realized that was what I had to do. I had to look for the seeds. And as I looked for the seeds, I noticed more of the fruit. But oftentimes I had to plant seeds of gratitude in order to be able to start to experience that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, because oftentimes we wait for something to happen, something awesome to happen in our lives, and then be grateful. But there are so many things that sometimes we need to look for them to find gratitude in. And those are the seeds that we plant when it's not a reaction to something that's happened. It's an action of planting that seed of gratitude, which is great news. That's great news. I love this quote by Russell M. Nelson. The joy we feel has little to do with the circumstances in our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives. And that's one lesson I learned throughout my grief journey, was I could feel a lot of joy. And oftentimes that joy was I planted the gratitude seed, and it grew more gratitude, and it grew joy along with it. And it grew hope as well. Everything can be going wrong in our lives, and yet we can still find little spaces of joy throughout it. Okay, so I've talked about that one thing. And so I would just invite you to, if you're only going to journal one thing, it would be to just find something in your day that you can be grateful for. So for some days, for me, it was a hot shower, especially when I was producing milk with no baby to give it to. I would just stand in that shower. I could cry. The shower felt good on my breasts, and I just could, sit there. And I found gratitude in that. Melatonin was my good friend for a while, so that I could come down from the adrenaline from having the baby and all that goes with that, and be able to get more than a few moments of sleep. And restless. I would have such restless sleep. I just could not get into a good sleep early on after the birth of our son and the death of our son. Paula was my neighbor. She just showed up on the porch one day and left all these ice cream treats. And I don't have a ton of junk in the house, junk food, but when you're grieving and your family's grieving, bring it on, bring it all in. And so she bought all these ice cream treats that I didn't even know existed. Snicker ice cream bars, Twix ice cream bars, just a whole variety. And the kids were so happy. It just made them so happy. So the little things, the littlest of things you can find gratitude for. And the crazy thing about it is even if it's only the smallest of things, it will expand. That feeling of gratitude it's a relief. It relieves the grief. And so I wasn't intentionally seeking gratitude throughout. Maybe I was to a degree, but I think maybe I had already had that pattern in my life of looking for the good in it. And so that just continued. Again, parallel with the grief, I'm looking for the gratitude and noticing the things to be grateful for. The scripture in Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 18, Paul is teaching the people about gratitude. And he says, in everything, give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. And I think as I've looked back through my journals, I had taken on this advice from Paul to, in everything, give thanks. I was constantly trying to notice things I could be grateful for. And as I went through, this is my little journal I had throughout my pregnancy and afterwards, I have so many entries that begins with something that I could find, be grateful for. And I wasn't like having a goal every day. I'm going to do this. I say, if you need to make a goal for that, absolutely do it. But it was just something that I had already had a habit of. And so I will be writing about a terrible experience, a doctor visit, them seeing more problems on the ultrasound. But then I talk about how in this particular entry, my heart has been extra full of gratitude throughout the day. And I also noticed I go on to talk about prayer. And I noticed there was a correlation for me with prayer and gratitude. Like I instinctively would start out my prayer to my Father in heaven with what I was grateful for. I was always trying to find things to be grateful for. And I think he helped me see the gratitude as well. And I will tell you this, I learned this, oh my gosh, probably my early 20s. It's just a simple thing. Maybe you all know this, but whatever you focus on will increase. I have found that to be true in every area of my life. Whatever you focus on will increase. And so, excuse me, I think as I continually looked for the blessings, looked for things to be grateful for, it increased. I was able to see more of it because it's there. It's not that there aren't things to be grateful for. It's just takes some effort to notice them. I write again, I was overwhelmed with gratitude for the many blessings I enjoy every day. And then I go on to list some things. And then I talk about, crying, and it's all in there, all the different things. Another entry I wrote, I am feeling so grateful for this pregnancy. I feel so good despite being 40 and pregnant. I was old when I had our last child. And then I go on to talk about the different problems that, are going on with him. And so, but gratitude also triggers hope and a feeling of peace and wellness. And so I just would invite you, if you are struggling with finding anything to be grateful for, just start with that one thing, even if it's just that you got out of bed in the morning, just something simple. And you have to train your brain to look for these things, but it'll become automatic and it will make your grief journey so much easier. Let me see if I had written one more thing in here. Maybe not. I talk about how I'm pretty much losing it. I had the 6 kids that I was trying to keep track of, and then all the things. It was a crazy time, but it was also a very sacred and sanctifying time for me. And I will tell you, it was, and I may have mentioned this somewhere in the program before, but it was it was my most blessed pregnancy. I felt so many different emotions that I had obviously not felt with the rest, but the joy I experienced in just having every moment he was inside me, I just appreciated. I just rejoiced to be able to be his mother and to have his life inside me. And so gratitude was just a part of being able to experience all of that. So this is a little fun fact. People who take time to be grateful and to look for the gratitude throughout the day are 25% happier. So if you want to feel 25% better, go ahead and, just start looking for things. And maybe you already do that. Maybe you could give a better video than I am about gratitude. Maybe that has been a help to you along your journey as well. And I hope so, but it's never too late to add it in. One of my journal entries talks about my Chloe. So our son passed away on a Thursday and Sunday was Mother's Day. And so I wake up to my little Chloe, who's now 21. Is she 21 now? She's 21. She just had a birthday. And she had made me breakfast in bed. Isn't that so cute? And she had made me this little, I don't remember what these are called, but a little card with all these nice things about her mom. So sweet. Like those kind of little things were all over the place. I just had to notice them. I just had to be looking for them and notice. And now my Chloe is so big. I can't believe it. She was 10 here. 10? Yeah, she was 10. Time is crazy. All right, there's your habits. These, like I said, I generally teach 10 habits, vital habits in my coaching, but when we are in grief, let's just simplify it down to the basics, the very fundamentals that we can focus in on. And with our floors, you don't need to stress about the ideal. Let's just do a little bit for each one to help our bodies and our minds feel just a little bit better, be able to function a little more. Sometimes when I talk with women who have been dealing with grief, sometimes they feel a little bit guilty if they feel happy in a day, or they go through the day and they find they didn't think much about their child through that day. And I would say you do not need to feel any guilt for that. None at all. You are living your life. You're living in the present, and that is a good thing. And absolutely, you haven't forgotten them. You're still given opportunities to remember them, and triggers come along when you least even expect them to. That child is still very much a part of you. And I believe that my son wants me to live and wants me to feel good and wants me to progress through the grief journey, doesn't want me to stay stuck in it. So these habits will help you with that. So good luck with all your habits.